All right, at this time, I'm going to call to order the Monday, January 27, 2025 regular city council meeting. All rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Judge, can I get a roll call, please?
Mayor King,
Present.
Councilman Augsburg,
here.
Councilwoman Niner,
Here.
Councilman Newberry,
Here.
Councilman Neal.
Here.
Quorum being present, everyone has had a chance to look over the agenda. Does anyone have any objections to the agenda as presented? Hearing no objections, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. You also have before you the consent agenda from the January 13th City Council meeting. Does anyone have any objections to the agenda, the consent agenda as presented? Hearing no objections, the consent agenda is approved by unanimous consent. This time I will open the floor. If someone from the public would like to address City Council, please step up to the podium. State your name and address for the record, please. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. All right. First item on the agenda for tonight is a special request, an application for the Vescovi Scholarship Foundation.
I'll be taking this one, Mayor. We received a special events request from Vescovi Scholarship Foundation so that they could host a Cars Fly High card tournament to raise funds for their scholarship foundation to benefit local students at the high school. They have reserved the memorial building for March 29th of this year from 5 to 11, but would like to request the use of the building for free. So that would be something that council would need to decide on. If they had paid the rate that is proposed for groups like that, it's $225 to rent it for the night, so they would like to have it for no fee.
What happened to the car show? Do we know?
Do not know.
They got onto it really late last year, and with all the events, we couldn't get through to happen. So I assume they'll probably come back to do that again. They had talked about doing one in the spring, but I think with weather and people that bring their cars to car shows don't like the unknown weather factor of this community and this area that time of year, so.
And Mayor, I'll also add, one of the gentlemen that actually helped with that event went off to college. And so there was actually 2 kids, the same ones that helped us do our car show. So when one of them went off to college, it was hard to kind of plan strategically around all of those. The other one's still in high school.
Okay.
Are there any questions from council?
No.
Does anyone have any objections to waiving the $225 for the Vescovi Scholarship Foundation?
I have no objections to that.
Okay, then I need a motion and a second to approve the special request application waiving the fee for the memorial building for March 29th.
I'll make a motion for the special report Vescovi Scholarship Foundation to give them the memorial building.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next one is a special events application for the farmers market.
Yes, and I believe we have some delegates from the historic district that will be here, Pleasant Historic District, to talk about it. But they would like to get things in order to host their farmers market again this year down at 2nd Street lot. So does anybody want to?
Sure.
Okay. Yes.
Sure, okay. Yeah, just to summarize is we would like to do this again this year for our community. And we put all the bullet points in there. We've run solar, well, basically like last year, we have a lot of other things that we want to do that we didn't get to do last year, that we're excited to get those in motion for this year. Just things for the community, theme days and giveaways, things like that, so. And hopefully grow it, because we had 60 vendors last year. Not all of them would come every single week, but, you know, I think we had around 20 to 24, you know, depending on the week, so. Not sure what questions you might have.
Any questions from council? All right. Jody, was there anything action we needed on it?
I believe we would just to approve the street closure along Second Street. And,
Just, it's a partial,
yeah,
to
partial.
allow that safe pedestrian walkway from Gray's Lot to the farmer's market. And it did not put this on here, but last year we were allowed to use the barricades from the city, so if we could do that again, that would be helpful.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the special events application for the farmer's market with a partial Second Street closure?
I'll make a motion to approve the special events application for the farmer's market with a request to close, partial close Second Street. Did I get that right?
Yep.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. And then we'll work with the barricade thing, so we can do.
We'll see you guys down there,
All right.
right? Do it.
Thank you. Back up just a minute here. Just so everybody knows, starting with this meeting, we are recording these meetings and we're gonna be posting those. We're gonna be posting those on the website so that people can see the meetings. Sorry, that was on me, I was supposed to start with that. Next item is the backyard chickens discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna start this, but this is kind of your guys' discussion to some degree. So on December 9th, the mayor had introduced the concept for backyard chickens, and this occurred after we held a town hall in October, on the issue, and proponents had, asked that it be considered by the city council. At the December meeting, the mayor asked for council feedback on the proposed language. You guys got to see some draft language. And this is honestly the first meeting in which we've been able to have that conversation. And so I just wanted to make it clear that council will not be adopting a bill tonight, that this is still a discussion. And then with your feedback, if you have any feedback, direction, anything, if you guys would like this to move forward, then we'll work with legal counsel to finalize what that language is. I did want to note that we have some revisions that were made to the original language that was presented in December. Those include a minor change to the definition of noisy animal and public nuisance, but the content is neutral. It should kind of be arranged where they were located. We previously had noted that this would apply to R1 single-family properties. That was something that was discussed at the last meeting. We made it a little bit more clear that this does not apply to ag zoning because there's specific standards related to ag zoning and a prohibition of the R2, R3, and higher density zoning. Really no change from the intent from before. One of the things that was unclear to us as we looked at it was the language before had a 6-foot maximum height. And the question that was presented from staff was, is that from finished grade or is that the wall height? Because sometimes we see chicken coops that are elevated. Right now in the language that you guys saw today, it's from finished grade, but that's something that could be discussed by council if you have any ideas or considerations on what that maximum height could potentially be. The other one, and most of this language was already in there, is what I'm going to call chicken at large. Sometimes I refer to them as errant chickens. What we've heard from other cities is this is actually not much of a problem, but we did want to note the language that's in there right now is that it shall be removed by animal control. So if by chance somebody's chicken gets off of their property, since we talked about at the last meeting, having a registration, a potential registration by property, we wouldn't know which location that chicken went back to, and so it wouldn't be easy for us to get it back. And so, you know, on further consideration, we may want to look at animal control may pick up that chicken, rather than shall.
But like I said, we checked with a number of cities across the state who allow backyard chickens, and thankfully, we haven't found one that said that this is a problem. So I consider that really good news. Additionally, we did find some other cities that said that they exclusively do not accept chickens to be forfeited at the animal shelter for individuals that no longer want that. They said even sometimes people try to drop off pigs at their animal shelter, and they're like, just like we say no to pigs, we say no to chickens. So as staff though, I will note, we've had a lot of discussions about animal husbandry standards and biosecurity. Nikki can talk about this in much more depth than I can, but specifically the manner in which chickens are introduced to what I'm gonna call like different flocks or different locations. From a biosecurity standpoint, and this honestly dates back to decades, because my dad even noted it the other day too, that you should not be kind of commingling different chickens amongst different sites. And only in the last week, the Missouri Department of Agriculture began suspending swap meets and auctions for chickens in select counties. Cass is not one of them yet, but they said that they will have the potential to expand, and that's based on avian flu considerations. And so for this reason, as staff, we didn't feel like we could recommend facilitating any movement of them from property to property, and we wanted to make sure that we at least had a mechanism in code that we could be able to take them off of the street or make sure that we're not facilitating more commingling. And then the only other part that was added was that we did add a registration per property that would run from January to December. The language that is presented notes that the fee will be reflected in the fee schedule. That's how we note it. There's nothing listed yet for what that fee is, and that's something that you guys could decide what you think that should be. I last time had heard nothing. I heard should be something. So we'll look to you guys for that direction. And with that, I mean, Mayor, this is really your guys' discussion, and staff will consider your feedback.
So the first thing I want to talk about is, first of all, it doesn't sound like any of the communities around us, and when I say around us, in the metro, that have these ordinances, routinely or hardly ever pick up chickens or even deal with it. So it doesn't seem like that's a really big issue. I think the one that we need to have very solid is if we do, I don't want to say confiscate, remove chickens or get these chicken gangs roaming at large, we will have to euthanize those, correct?
So this gets into one of your other conversations that you had earlier. There is a process that was written into code about us potentially holding them until it could be adjudicated by court again, but if we don't know whose it is, and we may not get to that point. And so, yes, there is a mechanism in the code that would allow us the opportunity to be euthanized if needed. Again, if needed.
And do we have the means to do that?
I mean, I think we would be able to facilitate that.
And if we're gonna do that, we need to make sure that's clearly specified. That is the path for that. So there's no questions on that. So we cannot facilitate, but if local organizations and groups put out there, as they do really well on social media, that if you have chickens you don't want anymore, whatever, contact us, then we would not be facilitating that, and that is not anything that we would need to control or. Okay? Okay? So, next question is, do we want a registration, yes or no?
How much are the dog and cats again?
Spade and neuter are 6 and items is 8.
Okay, spayed and neutered is 6 and unaltered is 8.
For both dogs and cats?
It's the same thing.
Because I say yes for each household. I just don't know how much. But just for each each residence, not for each chicken.
So let's split this into two things that it is. First of all, do we want them registered by house? That people have backyard chickens.
For voting, I would say no, but
I would say yes.
Mr. Bureau, just.
Okay, we're not voting. Okay. So let's write it for registered.
Okay.
All right. Do you want a fee?
Yes.
Let's take it that simple first. Do we want a fee?
Yes.
No? Yeah.
I said yes.
Yes.
Tie goes to the mayor.
I know. I'm not opposed to it if it's a nominal amount. I mean, how much administration do we have?
I'll look to chief on that.
But if, for us, responding to errant chickens, chicken gangs roaming the streets, and doing bad things, it certainly could be somewhat costly in staff time. I don't believe we're gonna have that as a major problem, but it is going to be a problem occasionally. In terms of looking at it from an administrative perspective, if we have a registration, city workers are going to have to register the animals. That's 5 minutes at the desk. Us, it could be, I don't know if you've ever watched cops chase chickens. It's pretty good, and I'd be happy to produce the body cam footage on it. But there could be some time that we spend on it.
I wish I had a video of it. I one time watched a trooper, thought he was going to shoulder tackle a hog on I-70. Did not go well for him.
Probably not.
All right, so. Let me think about the fee,
Okay.
because we put that in the fee schedule anyway.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be decided at this point, we could move towards that, and especially if you were not implementing immediately.
Do you need anything else on this discussion?
The only other one that I had was just if you had a preference on height requirements.
The fence.
No, it wasn't fence,
Or
this was the height of the coop, right?
Yes.
So would you go back and reiterate what you said? Is that from the ground or from the foundation up?
The original
Am I saying that
wasn't,
right?
the original was not clear,
It just said green.
it just said 6 feet.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to decide, so right now, what I have written in there is from finished grade, so ground. But we know that people elevate them, so I have no preference, I don't know, I'm looking at Missy, this was really her comment. If she had a preference.
Yeah. So my thought behind it was, it just said that the coop could not be more than 6 feet. So is that 6 feet from finished grade to the top of the roof, or is that a 6 feet wall height? So is the wall of the coop itself 6 feet and then the roof on top of that?
Oh, that's a different question.
I would say 6-foot wall.
But how far off the ground? Because sometimes they're elevated, so now we're talking like, as if it's 2 feet off the
Exactly. I was
ground and then a
just-
6-foot wall, now we're sticking 8 feet up in the air, so that's the clarity when we were,
So
discussing.
everything I read was either 6 or 8 feet. And some had none. Every ordinance had the square footage, which was all pretty close to being normal. I mean, consistent across the board. Candy?
I've never seen a coop bigger than 8 feet. Even ones that are elevated where the chickens can run around underneath. So I don't think, I'd say whichever one you guys think is fine and acceptable.
I would be agreeable to 8 foot from the ground, or whatever you call it, finished grade.
great.
Anybody up here object to 8?
I'll second.
I'm not seconding anything. Do it. We're having a discussion.
No, I agree with what Matt said though.
Well, 8 foot gives somebody, a taller person, plenty of room to walk in, you know.
Tall people.
You don't have to worry about the short ones, but,
8 foot wall, so 8 foot wall height. And then do you have a max height of the building itself? So,
What do we have the max height?
as we know, you put an 8-foot wall and then you do a steep grade or a steep slope on your roof, you've got a whole nother level of chicken coop.
Are we over engineering this? Cause, I mean, I'm not saying the other cities do it right.
I'm just
saying, I saw nothing like this. It just said
I,
6 feet, 8 feet, and every one that I read.
working in this, I just know, like, is that 6 feet wall height, and then I can put an 8-foot roof on the top of it? Or is it 8 feet wall height with a 12-foot max? I would think 8 feet total would be.
8 feet total.
Yeah.
I don't wanna get all crazy. It's 8 feet total. Okay,
From
start with that.
8 to ground.
Hold on a second. Any other questions? Okay, I will open it up now to the public. If someone from the public would like to comment on this topic, please step up to the podium, state your name and your address, please.
John Self, 205 South Campbell. I was just gonna make the suggestion that maybe if somebody has 1 or 2 chickens, there's no fee. If they've got a whole farm going back there, maybe you put a fee on it. They can count by how many they have.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, you need anything else from us right now? On that?
I do not.
Okay.
Now, our intent is to have the language back before you at our next meeting.
But let me tell you, 3 people typing in a document at the same time is a little weird and hard to keep up with. I was like trying to keep up with you two. I'm like, what is happening in this document? All right. Next item is the Prop P1 budget discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. As you guys are aware, voters approved an $11.5 million general obligation bond in April 2024, and the project is actively underway. There were items which remain and intentionally remain outside of the guaranteed maximum price with the contractor, and they could either be added as change orders as we continue to refine the design, or be done by staff or contracted with a different contractor. The total program budget, though, is able to exceed the $11.5 million due to a donation received by the Pleasant Hill United Way and our net retainable interest earnings. Staff recommends the following be added to the project as a whole. Installation of new bathroom partitions at the recreation complex rather than reuse old. They are almond color, everything else is not gonna be almond color. Replacement of the Roosters padded backstop at the north field as the backstop dimensions were changed. We talked about whether we could potentially repurpose and add onto it, and it just made more sense for us to be able to purchase new at the dimensions that we needed. Pavement reinforcement at dumpster locations at the recreation complex and City Lake to reduce the wear and tear from trash trucks as they turn. We could still continue to have the chip and seal. It will just create more maintenance for us in the long run as the trash trucks make their turns to be able to empty that. Reconstruction of a water service line at the recreation complex. Through our utility billing software, we can identify that there is a leak on that line that services the concession stand. Our staff has been excavating this, honestly, I know I saw it probably even in October, November, and attempted to locate the leak, and unfortunately it's believed to be underneath the parking lot. And so it is noted that it's more cost effective both now and in the long run for us to relocate that line and keep it out of the parking lot and then close off the service to the existing service line. And all of this can be accomplished within the existing program budget. So then, we wanted to make the council aware, so we had the 3 original pickleball courts that were funded in our project. Then we received the donation and added 3 more, so we have a total of 6 pickleball courts at the recreation complex. However, they haven't poured the second set of 3. And we anticipate honestly in the next 2 weeks that they will. The original plan had a concept for a full 8 pickleball courts. And so I wanted to bring it to your attention and have you guys make a decision on whether you wanted to add the remaining 2 pickleball courts at the recreation complex to allow for 1 single pour. 1 single pour on a post-tension surface reduces cracks into the future, reduces our maintenance into the future, and is a more cost-effective option than us doing it later when we may have additional mobilizations. I will note that is not to say that they couldn't be added later, it just will come at a higher price. The cost to add those additional 2 pickleball courts is approximately $80,000. And I, will note that that does exceed our current program budget. And since it can be added at a later date and it's an amenity that is already present there, both myself and Jeff don't really recommend approval of this at this time. Just wanted to make sure in case you guys have a difference of opinion and you would like to see it funded. The budget itself is somewhat flexible still. Like, we are forecasting what interest rates will be. We're determining whether we will have any arbitrage that we can hold on to. But right now it's looking like it would exceed what the program budget is. There are other funding sources that could be used. We could use capital improvement sales tax fund, we could use park fund, we could use general fund. There are a lot of other ways that we could fund that $80,000, but I really felt like that was a decision you guys needed to make and not staff. So, I'm really just looking for your direction on whether you concur with the plan that I recommended.
I'm so confused.
Okay, what do you need clarification on, Michelle?
So are we exceeding the budget already?
No.
We're still on budget with everything?
Yes. We're under budget right now.
Even with the water line that needs to be fixed and
Yes.
everything else?
Yes. The only thing that lives outside of that right now is pickleball.
We would only exceed it if we add the 2.
Correct. Yeah.
I agree with what you recommended about not doing it. I'd love to see it, but to me, it doesn't make good, sound decision. It's not being fiscally responsible, I don't feel.
And how many pickleball courts are we having right now?
So we have 6 right now, and potentially two, no, at City Park.
Oh, there, that's tennis,
Okay. I thought we could.
not for USTA.
Okay, yeah, we are currently seeking grant funding through the U.S. Tennis Association. If we receive that, then it has to be exclusively tennis, which then would free up money that we could make a second floor for more pickleball. If we don't receive that grant funding, then we could also have, we could strike for pickleball at City Park.
So 6 in total right now.
Then, yeah, I'm fine with not doing the other pickleball courts.
I agree as well. I think 6 is a heck of an impressive start.
Yeah.
So,
The 6 will make the pickleball community happy.
Hey, it's gonna make me happy, I'm gonna learn how to play.
Okay. Is that all you had?
That's all I need.
Is there any other questions about the, Prop P1 budget at this time?
Parks and Board, are they okay with this too? Have we asked them or talked to them?
Yeah, I will say they are generally very excited for pickleball. They've talked to the park staff quite a bit about pickleball programming, and we're still moving our heads around how that could work. You know, what we are initially seeing are potentially like adding more like open gym times, if you will, so that if maybe you don't have a partner and you would need to be able to meet up with somebody, or some like learn to play courses or something like that. And maybe single tournaments, but we haven't found a great way for leagues yet. I think at this point, Park Board's pretty happy with the improvements as a whole.
And this may be premature, but are we still on target date wise? I mean, with all the bad weather that we've had, because
Yeah, we haven't heard of any delays yet.
All right, open up this time, any public comment on the budget discussion? Staff reports. I just make sure there wasn't somebody next to you.
No, it's just, so what I've been working on recently, or as of last week, was Little Blue Valley Sewer District. Our sewer treatment plant south of town, they have submitted a site plan for review for their site expansion. So they have already previously filed a a no-rise certificate for that improvement, which was reviewed and approved by our FEMA individuals in Jefferson City, so that is good to go. Now we're just reviewing their site plan for that extension, and that is with engineers currently.
Just roll with it.
Okay.
Just full force working on the budget. I met with all department heads the last week or two to kind of get their estimated year numbers and their next year's budget. And I plan on hopefully having a public hearing for water sewer rates on the last meeting in February. I got the expenses from Tony this last week, so I have to build that in to figure out what the rates would be. So I'm still working on that.
Our building and grounds crew.
Wait, just a minute, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So is that when we would talk about,
Yes, I would have a public hearing. Like I said, I will, hopefully, my plan is to get it in the paper, because it has to be in the paper 14 days. And then have the public hearing on the last meeting in February, the 24th.
okay,
We don't have to approve that, but discuss the water rates and sewer rates.
Our buildings and grounds crew has been very busy on doing equipment and facility upgrades and equipment checks, going through and changing all of the filters, things of that nature of all the units. Also making repairs to our equipment from the big snow event that we had some minor damage to those items, so making those repairs. We've had a busy couple of weeks with the rescheduling of the impacted games for all the recreational sports. Scheduling those practices, games, everything like that has been challenging, but Darlington did a very good job with that. Also have the daddy-daughter dance coming up here in a couple weeks, and we have just recently issued the tournament schedules for basketball.
To follow up with Jeff says, we've been doing a lot of repairs on trucks and stuff from the snowstorm. Been very busy with maintenance. Our winter, a lot of our small engine repairs and oil changes and service, etc. Our 5-year plan, I just signed the document and sent that back to Jason today. We should be sending that tomorrow, I'm assuming, to DNR for approval, so I would say within 3 to 4 weeks we'll have approval on that. As soon as I get that, I will be working on my next project in order. The 7th Highway water line replacement, we are waiting for legal review on the contract to send it out to bid. As soon as we get that review back, we will be opening that up for bids, or getting that advertised for bids. 7th Highway manhole, we got the risers and the rings this last week, but we didn't get the lids, so we're still waiting on the lids on that. So we will, as soon as we get the lids, we will get started on that. We do plan on doing that overnight, so be a little safer for the guys, and we can get a little bit more done at night than we can during the day. 7th Highway and Country Club lining project, we've got DNR approvals on those. I do not have a schedule on that yet, but I'm assuming as soon as the weather breaks, we'll get started on that. The tower rehab, we are scheduled, or on their schedule to start that mid-April, so that'll be coming up soon. And then the pump house, I just got notification that the pumps were delayed on delivery, so we are now looking at 2/25, so this February, February 25th, we should see the pumps, and then hopefully they'll be going strong on the pump house. I did interview and offer a position for the supervisor's position in Public Works. He accepted, got a counter offer, and then stayed where he was at. So I'm gonna be reviewing a few other applicants that we've gotten, and then talking to a few other people too. So hopefully we'll be able to pick a supervisor here before too long.
I don't have a whole lot. Been working on budget with Amy and Shelby. We're wrapping up our year-end statistics, and we're moving forward with working on our 5-year strategic plan. So just moving forward on everything, so.
Just because it'll be here quick and before we know it, we still want to do the dunk tank at the fair.
Absolutely.
Get on that. Ally.
As Jeff mentioned, I have been working with Parks and Rec for the father-daughter dance, and that will be on Saturday, February 22nd at the intermediate school. Additionally, I have also started planning the Shamrock Shimmy, which is a super fun event every year in downtown, and that will be on Friday, March 14th. I've also been working on the January newsletter. We did decide on a date today for the State of the City address, and that will be on Friday, February 21st at the Memorial Building. More information about that will be posted soon, and we'll get that out there. And additionally, I've just been working on some website updates.
Thank you. Luckily, I was able to attend some training last week, which was really good, beneficial to get to be with some other peers from across the state and get in some really good professional development. We are working on, one of the things that has come out of the last couple of fairs is some fairground improvements around the rodeo arena. Obviously, the arena was extended as a capital project a couple of years ago. But we really have some need for additional and better seating. So Jeff and I and Josh have been meeting with some vendors to start getting some prices and quotes in hopes of maybe getting some, it would probably have to be done in phases, but some additional seating and better bleacher seating at the arena, as well as lighting. So we had an issue last year with some electrical work, so we've been working with a contractor on some different options for lighting. This in turn obviously not only helps facilitate the fair better, but then obviously makes the area more appealing to rent out throughout the year instead of just, in July usage. So with that being said, also we took a call this morning, and one of our committee members is meeting with the group from Harrisonville that also runs a livestock show in the last part of the summer, because there's obviously improvements for those in the North Park area in Harrisonville, so that show no longer has a home for this year at least, and so they're looking for a space. So Rachel Randolph, they actually have a meeting tonight, and obviously I couldn't be there since I was here, so Rachel Randolph, who is our livestock chairman, is gonna visit with them this evening, and then we'll set up a meeting to see if we can help be a good neighbor and facilitate to implement the Cass County Junior Livestock Show that, like I said, won't have a home this year because of the improvements at North Park. And obviously, kind of a past question, we are still continuing to meet weekly on our P1 updates with the entire team. And so again, we know what dates are looming. I think you will, based on our conversation with them on Friday, again, weather's clearing, and you'll start seeing a lot of what I'm gonna call vertical construction, backstop poles going in. A lot of the lights have already been set. Some of them are now, there's the top half still needs to have the crane come in, but I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of things go now that hopefully the weather stays in our favor. But still, everything's on target to meet the needs of the high school for spring baseball season.
I was looking at my notes because I was like, turf delivery is coming soon.
Yeah.
So by the end of the month, we anticipate the turf will be in, or if anything gets delayed, it will be early February. So that is coming soon too. Late last week, we received the estimated cost of construction on the animal shelter. Staff is still reviewing that and will continue to do so over the next 2 weeks, as it will our owner's rep to refine any design and cost to ensure that it's within the budget. So far, it is within the target budget. Then additionally, we have received the temporary construction easement and permanent easement for the sanitary sewer line construction for the Pleasant Hill Marketplace project at 163rd and 7th Highway. And then additionally, this week, later this week, we will be submitting grants for the Moving Missouri Forward Grant, Cabela's Bass Pro, and Trails Capacity Grant. I think all I have right now.
Just have some more end of the year HR stuff that I've been finishing up with ACA and all that, and we did have a couple of interviews last week for some officer positions, so those went pretty well. And that's about it. Tomorrow's the final certification for the election, so I have all my stuff ready to go in the morning to send to the county, so everything will be locked and loaded, so that's all I got.
All right. Anything from council?
I have an email, from a constituent of mine. She would like to know, I know we're recording it tonight, but she would like to know when we do plan on getting, she's not able to come to these. She would like to see them live, the council meetings, so any ideas of when we're gonna get the microphones and everything else?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know when.
So I was looking to Jeff to see, we are still finalizing what the plans will be for this room. You know, right now, we decided that, like, he's still, I think we have a plan for AV, but we haven't sat down to evaluate it yet. Additionally, unless council feels different, it was not staff's intent to live stream, but to record and post. That was our intent. But any AV enhancement will enhance what that video is. And then the system that Jeff had proposed does kind of seamlessly integrate those two.
Yeah, the camera system.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else?
All right, first of all, I want to thank Augie for stepping in as Mayor Pro Tem for the last meeting. Had an opportunity to go to Jeff City for the inauguration. Provided me some FaceTime with the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Governor's staff, and our reps, and reps from not this area that do have some interest in how things are done in this area. You know, whether it's MoDOT, law enforcement, or these different things of making sure that we have a voice, and we have one rep that for sure is ready to sit down with city staff and plan his agenda for the next 2 years and what he can do to help us. For funding, if you don't know, there are some constant threats to our funding. There is always the threat of eliminating personal property tax. And that can happen if there's mechanisms to fund what that leaves from other places. And when you talk to people, they always say, oh yeah, there's a plan. What is it? Well, I don't know, but it'll be there. And that does not work. That's a huge chunk out of city budget, fire district budget, everybody. So there's a lot of things on the legislature that will impact the city. So it was good to get down there, get some FaceTime with those people and make sure that our voices are heard so that we can get help with some of these things when we need them. And there are times we need their help on some things. So Augie, again, thank you for stepping in and taking care of that.
Sure.
All right. We do not have anything for closed session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second to adjourn. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Augsburg,
Yes.
Councilman Niner,
Yes.
Councilman Newberry,
Yes.
Councilman Eno.
Yes.
All right, we're adjourned.